In this video, we'll be covering everything you need to know about the Tudors and Stuarts for your Life in the UK test. The Wars of the Roses was a civil war that began in 1455 to decide who should be the next King of England. It was fought between two families, the House of Lancaster, represented by a red rose, and the House of York, represented by a white rose. The war ended in 1485 when Henry Tudor of the House of Lancaster defeated and killed Richard III of the House of York at the Battle of Bosworth Field. Henry Tudor then became King Henry VII, the first king of the House of Tudor. He united the two families by marrying Richard III's niece. This union was symbolized by the Tudor rose, which combined the red rose of Lancaster with the white rose of York. As king, Henry VII centralized power and reduced the influence of the nobles. Henry VIII, son of Henry VII, is most famous for breaking away from the Church of Rome. This happened because the Pope refused to grant him a divorce from his first wife. As a result, Henry established the Church of England, where the king, not the Pope, would hold power. Henry VIII went on to marry 6 times. His wives were Catherine of Aragon, whom he divorced, Anne Boleyn, whom he executed, and Jane Seymour, who gave him a son, Edward, but died after childbirth. His final 3 wives were Anne of Cleves, a political match whom he divorced, Catherine Howard, who was executed, and Catherine Parr, who survived him. During Henry's reign, the Act for the Government of Wales formally united Wales with England. At the same time, a movement known as the Reformation was spreading across Europe. It was against the authority of the Pope and the practices of the Roman Catholic Church. A Christian group called the Protestants formed their own churches. They read the Bible in their own language and believed a person's direct relationship with God was most important. The English tried to impose Protestant ideas in Ireland, which led to a rebellion and significant future conflict. Henry VIII was succeeded by his son Edward VI, who reigned for only 6 years and died at age 15. His main achievement was introducing the Book of Common Prayer for the Church of England. Edward was succeeded by his half-sister Mary. A devout Catholic, she persecuted Protestants, earning the nickname Bloody Mary. After Mary's short reign, her half-sister Elizabeth the Yas became queen. She was a Protestant. Elizabeth I was a successful monarch, finding a balance between Catholics and Protestants to avoid serious religious conflict. A major event during Elizabeth's reign was the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588. The Armada was a large fleet of ships sent by Spain to conquer England and restore Catholicism. The English victory made Elizabeth a very popular monarch. The Elizabethan period was a time of growing patriotism and pride in being English. New trade routes were established, and England began to colonize the east coast of America. Sir Francis Drake, who helped defeat the Armada, became the first Englishman to circumnavigate or sail all the way around the world. This was also the era of William Shakespeare, who wrote many famous plays, poems, and sonnets. Some of his most famous plays include A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Romeo and Juliet. Please pause the video here to review the information on the screen. During this period, Scotland was also strongly influenced by Protestant ideas and established its own Protestant Church of Scotland. However, the Queen of Scots, Mary Stuart, was a Catholic. She spent most of her childhood in France. When she returned to Scotland, she was accused of murdering her husband. She fled to England and gave her throne to her Protestant son, James VI of Scotland. Mary expected to be welcomed by her cousin, Queen Elizabeth the Macer. Instead, she was imprisoned for 20 years and then executed, accused of plotting to take the English throne. Elizabeth I had no children. When she died, her cousin James VI of Scotland became King of England. He was known as James II of England and James VI of Scotland. Even though he was king of both, England and Scotland remained separate countries. During his reign, a new translation of the Bible was developed, known as the King James Bible or the Authorized Version. During this period, Ireland was an almost separate Catholic country. Henry VIII had taken the title King of Ireland. During the reigns of Elizabeth I and James I, there were many rebellions by the native Irish against Protestant and English rule. To strengthen English authority, the government encouraged English and Scottish Protestants to settle in Ulster, a northern province of Ireland. These settlements, where settlers took land from Catholic landowners, were known as plantations. Please pause the video here to review the information on the screen. James I was succeeded by his son, Charles I. Both kings were unsuccessful in managing Parliament. They believed in the divine right of kings, the idea that the king was appointed by God and did not need Parliament's approval. For 11 years, Charles II ruled without Parliament but was forced to recall it when he needed money to fight a Scottish army. Parliament, which included many Puritans, refused to give him the funds because they strongly disagreed with his religious views. Puritans were a group of Protestants who advocated for very strict and simple religious practices. With rebellions in Ireland and Scotland and conflict with the king, Parliament took control of the army. This led to a civil war. The war was fought between the Cavaliers, who supported the king, and the Roundheads, who supported Parliament. The king and the Cavaliers were defeated at the battles of Marston Moor and Naseby. Charles II was held prisoner, but because he refused to reach an agreement with Parliament, he was executed in 1649. After the execution of Charles I, England declared itself a republic, called the Commonwealth. There was no longer a monarchy. The Scots declared Charles III's son, Charles II, as their king. He led an army into England but was defeated. Charles II was famously hid in an oak tree on one occasion before fleeing to Europe. Oliver Cromwell, the general of the Parliamentary Army, was given the title Lord Protector, making him leader of the Republic. After Cromwell's death, Britain wanted stability and a monarch again. This led to the Restoration. In 1660, Parliament invited Charles II to return from exile and be crowned king. The Church of England was re-established, and Roman Catholics and Puritans were kept out of power. During Charles II's reign, a major plague struck London in 1665, followed by the Great Fire of London in 1666, which destroyed much of the city. The Habeas Corpus Act was passed in 1679. This made it illegal to hold someone in prison without a court hearing. The Royal Society was also established during this time to promote natural knowledge. It is the oldest surviving scientific society in the world. Two famous early members include Isaac Newton, who discovered gravity, and Sir Edmund Halley, who successfully predicted the return of the comet now named after him. Charles II had no legitimate children, so his brother, James II, became king. James was a Roman Catholic. When James had a son, prominent Protestants became concerned about a future line of Catholic kings. They invited William of Orange, the Protestant ruler of the Netherlands, who was married to James's daughter Mary, to invade England. William arrived in England, and there was no fighting as James fled. This event was called the Glorious Revolution. William became King William III. James II later tried to retake his throne by invading Ireland with French support. William defeated James at the Battle of the Boyne in 1690, and James fled back to France. In Scotland, all clans were required to take an oath accepting William as king. The MacDonalds of Glencoe were late in taking the oath and were massacred. Some people in Scotland who still supported James became known as Jacobites. To summarize the later Stuart period, Charles II was executed, and Oliver Cromwell briefly ruled as Lord Protector. Charles II was then made king during the Restoration. He was succeeded by his Catholic brother, James II, who was then replaced by his son-in-law, William III, following the Glorious Revolution.